And you, and you, and you, and you were there. Some of it wasn't very nice, but most of it was beautiful. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Dream Idiots.
Hey,
I'm Morris, and this fella that I'm poking through the screen is Bryan,
welcome back.
where each week we have more fun than Ted Cruz in the bleachers at Yankee Stadium. Bryan, what's new with you?
Oh, not a lot. It's crystal clear and like 55 degrees in Texas today, so that doesn't suck.
Oh, wow. Very nice. Very nice. Thanks, everybody who's been listening and supporting us. This is our first record and drop on the same day. We've not done this before, so we're trying something a little different here. We're recording on a Tuesday morning, and we'll drop this almost instantaneously. And where can people find out more about us, Bryan, or get in contact with us?
Yeah, by all means, like and subscribe and share on pretty much any platform that you listen on. So we're on all of them: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, even Amazon and Spotify. And so, like and subscribe and share. And if you like us a lot, give us 5 stars, shoot us a review, shoot us a curse word you want us to look up. Any of those things are good. So yeah, and the website's dreamidiots.com, and you can drop us a line at dreamidiotspodcast at Gmail.
Man, I wish there was a way we could have gotten our merch links to those guys at Yankee Stadium. They probably would have bought some shirts, some Ted
That would
Cruz
have
shirts.
been. Uh-huh.
So
Maybe there's
each
a way to still do that. I don't know. We'll see.
each week, Bryan and I tell each other stories, ripped from the headlines, ripped from history, our own personal lives, little stories that we find wacky or humorous or life affirming or life disaffirming. And it's an odd episode. And Bryan, seeing how you're odd, you get to go first with episode 41, unless you have some updates for us this week on
I do feel
anything that's
like
interesting.
here at some point soon we may need to do like just an update episode, because what I've realized is that when I was doing research on various episodes in the past, those cookies for those keywords must be saved off somehow, and so I get email updates on. I keep seeing news stories related to Alex Murdaugh, that ridiculous attorney in South Carolina. Some craziness has happened there. Some craziness has happened with the story about the cheating chess story. Those Magnus Carlsen and Miles Neiman. So and a couple other things came across my radar screen too that were there were things we've talked about. So maybe there's just like an updates show at some point where we can circle back on some of the insanity.
Works for me.
So
What what you got for us this week?
this week, man, this is just a little bit of silliness because I thought this was sort of funny. You can appreciate, being much more of an academic than I am, the fact that the English language is gigantic. I'm pretty sure it's the largest in terms of total number of words in the OECD, for instance. It's the largest language that has ever existed, something like 300,000 words. And over time, because our language is so big and because it sucks in information from lots of other languages, that gives us the word big and the word large. So it is vast, but sometimes even in its vastness, it doesn't do a very good job of translating back into other languages. I'm not a linguist by any stretch of the imagination, but I can appreciate how other languages are structured differently, have different sort of linguistic, I don't know, histories. And so sometimes when things get translated from English into other languages, it just gets some are fine, but sometimes it just gets completely mangled. And so we're going to talk briefly here about some of those manglings in terms of movie titles. Um, one of them, and actually I couldn't find this, and so if someone finds this and sends it to me, that'd be great. This is a perfect example. I'm pretty well convinced that the 2004 film Napoleon Dynamite was marketed in various parts of the Far East under the title Napoleon Explosion. That's an example of the English language not quite mirroring what it needs to mirror in order to be an absolute literal translation of the original title. So I'm going to give you some of these titles. Some of these you can try to guess. There's going to be some German, some Italian, and then quite a bit of Spanish.
Yeah, good. I love this. Okay,
Okay,
let's go.
because I know growing up in San Antonio, you're at least passable with Spanish, but I know you know a little bit of Russian, and I think you know a little bit of German too, don't you? Or no?
Only by what I saw on Blackadder and Faulty Towers. So.
so,
Oh,
so
and
so
and the
so
great
10
and the
words.
Great Escape. The Great
Okay,
Escape.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So so the movie Die Hard with a Vengeance in Denmark was somehow that didn't translate, and this movie in Denmark, Die Hard with a Vengeance, was marketed as Die Hard Mega Hard. It sounds like a porn film, actually. that apparently the word vengeance doesn't exist in Danish. So this movie, from a fairly famous movie from the 1970s, was marketed in Germany as die, die aufglebische Reise in einem verrückten Flugzeug, or the unbelievable trip in a wacky airplane.
Airport.
It's actually just airplane. The original.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
So it's like, why didn't you just market this as Flugzeug, airplane? That would have been just fine, right?
It was a comedy. They didn't know what to do with it.
This won't work with our audience unless we change that. Whatever. So someone made that grand decision. Next one, in Latin America, this movie was marketed as El Caballero de la Noche.
Okay. The caballero, the man of night, or the horse of night. Is it caballo or caballero?
Caballero. The Knight of the Night. This is the Spanish version of the Dark Knight.
Batman.
Yeah. The Christian Bale Batman. The Knight of the Night.
Caballero de Noche.
This is a comedy.
It's Caballero de Noche. I'm dead.
Como se dice? In Germany, early 2000s, this movie was marketed under the title Wohlauf die Nüsse.
Wohlauf die Nüsse.
Straight in the Nuts.
In the early dodgeball? I don't know.
Right.
Was it really?
Right. Straight in the nuts. Apparently there were, I don't know. You could have just used, I bet there's a word for dodge in German.
Two of my wife's family was traveling somewhere together, and dodgeball was playing on there, and two of her brothers were watching at the same time, and right at the part where the guy throws the wrench and hits the guy, both the brothers just and no one else was laughing, and the two of them just I know what they're watching. All right.
Yep, there you go. I lost my screen. Where'd it go? So this movie, again, very early 2000s, maybe 1990s, I'm drawing a blank, marketed in Sweden as Hey You, Where Are the Chicks?
Hey You, Where Are the Chicks? Dude, Where's My Car?
Swingers.
Oh, okay.
Close though. I mean, that your logic made sense there. This one,
I like that movie, Bryan. Go ahead. Sorry.
You might get this one. This is I know a movie you like. In France, it was marketed as Les Dents de la Mer.
The something of the sea.
Dent. D-E-N-T-S.
The teeth of the sea. Jaws.
Okay. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
So this is two versions of the same movie, marketed in, this is Latin America. So marketed in Latin America as ligeramente embarazada, slightly pregnant, or in China, it was marketed as One Night Big Belly.
One Night Big Belly and slightly pregnant. When did this come out?
Early 2000s.
Slightly pregnant. Juno? I have no idea.
Knocked Up.
Oh, I don't even know that film.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Is that a Judd Apatow film?
I believe it is Seth
Okay.
Rogen,
Oh,
Catherine
all
Heigl.
right.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. This one makes no sense, and you won't get this one. I'm tempted not even to mention this because I don't even understand how you'd get to this. This movie is marketed in Spain as un canguro super duro, or a super tough kangaroo. You won't get this.
$1 million baby.
Not far off. The Pacifier was a terrible. I mean, to say it was a terrible Vin Diesel movie is a bit of a oxymoron. He was apparently a nanny in this movie. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Pacifier became super tough kangaroo.
All right.
In Latin America, a well-known movie from the 70s was marketed as Vaselina, or just Vaseline.
Shampoo. I don't know.
Oh, wow, great guess. Actually, Grease.
Oh, duh. Okay. There's Morris again, putting in Hal Ashby films wherever he possibly can.
Right. Okay, next one. Marketed this again makes no sense. Marketed in Germany as Schlappe Bullen beißen nicht, or Lazy Cops Don't Bite, which makes no sense.
And what year was it?
This is 90s.
Police Academy?
Oh, good guess though. Dragnet, the Dan Aykroyd, Tom
Oh,
Hanks.
yeah.
I mean, I think I saw it in the theater, as I recall. Terrible movie. Next one, in China, marketed as He's a Ghost, and it's not Ghost.
Ghost Dad?
Sixth Sense.
Oh, well,
So
way to spoil it in the title.
Exactly right. So you can skip this movie because dead giveaway. In France, this movie marketed as Mom, I Missed the Plane.
Home Alone.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. This one's kind of stupid. In Germany, marketed as A Twin Seldom Comes Along. I didn't see this movie.
A twin seldom comes along. And what year was it roughly?
This is probably 90s as well. Dennis Quaid, Lindsay Lohan.
Oh, I know this one. It's the one where she thinks that she's a. Yeah, I don't remember the name of it, but it's
Parent Trap.
Oh, okay. That's not what I was thinking of.
Okay. Yeah, whatever. Okay, this one from the 60s, marketed in Italy as Please Don't Touch the Old Women. I won't even try to say that in Italian.
Please don't touch the old women. Well, I don't think it's the Lady Killers, because that's a British film anyway. Please. Arsenic and Old Lace was much sooner than that, much earlier than that. I don't know. Please don't touch the old women.
Gene Wilder.
The 60s? The producers? No.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Again, I've seen that movie not in a very long time. It's like, whatever. I don't quite get how they got there. So, next film, marketed in China as His Great Device Makes Him Famous.
Year.
Year, early 2000s.
The Absent-Minded Professor, the remake with Eddie Murphy.
No, Boogie Nights.
Oh, okay, yeah,
kind of stupid.
No,
you get it.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In Latin America, this movie was marketed as Super Cool.
Super Bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one, this is probably, it has to be 80s. Marketed in Spain and Latin America as Este Muerto Está Muy Vivo, or the dead guy is very much alive?
Weekend at Bernie's?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Another one from Spain, marketed as Strange Coincidences.
Years?
2000 or so.
Strange coincidences. Nothing but trouble. I don't know.
It's weird one. I Heart Huckabees. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
No clue. One more here, marketed in China as Satan Female Soldier.
Satan's female she devil?
G.I. Jane.
Oh, okay. All right.
And just one more. And hands down my favorite one from the 1960s. This movie was marketed in Italy as Tutte insieme appassionatamente, or Altogether Passionately. 60s film, Academy Award winner.
Passionately.
Tutte insieme appassionatamente.
The Sound of Music.
Yep.
Really?
How the fuck you guessed that? I have no idea. Because it makes no sense whatsoever. The Sound of Music apparently was so popular in, obviously everywhere, but it was so popular in Italy that at least one theater owner made it shorter so he could show it more often, and made it shorter by editing out all of the musical numbers. So I thought that was sort of amusing, because it kind of makes the movie impossible to follow.
I do it the other way around.
Like do just
just right. The musical numbers.
Take all the scenes out, just the music, right? So there you have it. Stupid, badly translated films.
I think I feel dumber after that. Sound of Music. Okay.
All right. Shift gears. I do have a curse word for you. Ready?
Sure.
It's time for the Dream Idiot's curse word of the week.
So this comes from Atlas Obscura. This is just a regional curse word. Comes to us from the fabulous city of Philadelphia, who in just a couple days will be playing in Game 1 of the World Series. It is a regional word that is a noun. It is the word Jawn, Jawn. Ever heard this word before?
Well, I've heard of, like, isn't Jaboni a word from them? Isn't that a word too?
Oh, yeah, it could be.
Okay,
yeah.
So John, I'm not familiar with. No.
Okay. So a John is always a noun.
Okay.
And because of bro code, you cannot call one of your bros a John, but John is a de facto default noun for when you don't either don't know what you're referring to or can't be bothered to refer to it. So say you're a Phillies fan and you wanted to say, hey, let's throw the battery at the left fielder and then go get a beer. You could say, throw the John at the left John, and then let's go buy a John. It's just a default noun that you can just stick in anywhere, and it can mean apparently anything. But and it can also refer to women. She's a really pretty John. But if you use it in reference to one of your male buddies, apparently it's somehow offensive.
So it's a universal pronoun with all kinds of gender rules to it.
Universal noun. So yeah, it can be any noun, but it can't be one of your friends, one of your male friends. Okay. Thanks, Philly.
Well, most of what I know about Philadelphia, I learned from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and watching Eagles games. So
right.
Okay, that's a good one. John. Okay. Are you ready for my story?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay. So we are in the haunted season. Ooh, I scare you. And I do have a story planned for what's the day after Halloween? All Souls Day, right? Because our next episode will fall on All Souls Day. So I'm saving a more traditional spooky tale for All Souls Day. We'll stretch out Halloween a little bit longer for next Tuesday. And in this one, I wanted to talk about a little bit more of a concrete fear. So I hope this helps folks that might have these one or two fears that I'm going to talk about here today. In a little story I'm calling A Fear of a Fear of Flying.
Okay.
Here we go. It was June of 2004, and I was sitting on the tarmac of LaGuardia Airport. More precisely, I was sitting in a plane which was sitting on the tarmac of LaGuardia Airport. My fiancée was sitting beside me. In roughly a month, we would be wed, and we were headed to Houston for a month-long preparation, which included final checks on tuxedos, dresses, caterers, and all of the elements which make up a wedding. I was a wreck, not in anticipation of the pending nuptials, but for another reason, one I could not yet discern. I had an aisle seat, as I preferred, but could not shake a feeling of discomfort, a feeling which was escalating into dread and eventually terror. There was an iciness inside me which started in the back of my throat, spread to my stomach, and then on down to my bowels. It was a penetrating cold which both seeped heat and emitted dis-ease at the same time. I was pale. My skin was clammy, my heart was racing. A medical professional, such as my fiancée, would most likely make the diagnosis, and she did, that I was in the middle of a panic attack. But what was the source of this panic? I didn't have a fear of flying, at least I didn't think I did. I followed my fiancé's advice and focused on my breathing. Slow, steady, in through the nose, out through the mouth. I tried to read, to work the crossword puzzle from the in-flight magazine. I even paid attention to the pre-flight instructions from the crew, which I should have been doing anyway. I watched the promotional video. Hi, I'm Gordon Bethune, president of Continental Airlines. Nothing could extinguish the cold fire of growing fear. My eyes wandered about the cabin, briefly taking in my fellow passengers. Perhaps an interlude into their lives could distract me for a while. Here was my first bad decision. I honed in on a pair of men a few rows ahead. They were slightly older than me, well-dressed with sports jackets, open-collared dress shirts, slacks, and polished shoes. They spoke in a language I did not understand. Farsi, Arabic, Urdu. They spoke quickly and vividly with hand gestures and sharp nods of their heads. No laughter, but a definite sense of familiarity, old friends or co-workers, perhaps. In my head, I put together a story for them, which was my second bad decision. At the time of this flight, I lived in New York for a little over a year. I had never known the city prior to 9/11, never seen the Twin Towers on the skyline as I took a cab in from the airport. As I watched these two men converse, to my great shame, the story in my head involved all of the racist tropes I had heard since the towers fell. I suddenly imagined that these two men, whom I did not know, and had judged solely by their language, were involved in some kind of plot to bring down this flight from New York to Houston. Then, in a Truman Show-esque moment, one of the men suddenly rose from his seat and made his way forward to the restroom. I relaxed. I was being an asshole. The guy simply had to pee. But, wow, that turned into an internal urination. I mean, what was he doing in there? He finally returned to his seat after what seemed to be a suspiciously long time, and the narrative I had started for them picked up again. What if he had left something in that bathroom, something dangerous? Poison? Or a bomb? Or maybe he simply didn't clean up for the next passenger. Whatever he did or didn't do, I had to find out. Moving from my seat, sidling as quickly as I could, without running, I made my way forward and huddled in the bathroom, locking the door and searching for whatever was left behind. Nothing on the counter or the floor. So I lifted the lid of the toilet. Nothing in the blue-tinted metal bowl. Had he already flushed it? Whatever it was may have already been floating in a vat of excreta somewhere in the bowels of the plane. Where else could something be hidden? The garbage chute? I pushed back the metal flap and peered down into the pile of paper products, but couldn't see very far down there. There was only one thing to do, and that's make my third bad decision for the day. I rolled up my sleeve as far as it would go and plunged my arm into the moist column of waste paper, and then something snapped into place. There's a term here which may be of some use to describe what happened to me in that moment. Standing there with my arm shoulder deep in an airplane restroom waste bin, I had been blessed with a moment of clarity. What in the holy name of sweet fuck all was I doing? Who was this clearly deranged person, sweaty of brow and pale of skin, staring at me from the mirror? What snapped into place for me was this. I had a problem with flying, a fear of it. I was also an alcoholic, and these two things had finally met head on in this time and in this place. I had not flown sober in well over a decade. Pre-flight self-medication with alcohol, and lots of it, was my standard operating procedure. Some 4 months prior to this moment of clarity, I'd been busy following a parade, the St. Patrick's Day parade in New York City. It was a Wednesday, so my fiancée was at her hospital while I was staggering through a series of pubs, Irish and otherwise. We were supposed to meet after work, and needless to say, by the time we did meet, I was the exemplar of a blathering stumblebum. The following day, in the throes of an incredible hangover, I pledged to both my fiancée and myself that I would be sober on our wedding day. Standing in that airplane restroom, I was then 4 months into classic cold turkey white knuckle sobriety. I had not taken the path of a 12-step program, but instead decided to go at it alone. This was working for me, but obviously not well. I was sober, staring into that mirror, and I was terrified. Or maybe I wasn't sober, but merely not drinking. And that's a difference I have turned over in my mind for years. Leaving my personal journey aside, spoiler alert, I got my shit together, was sober on my wedding day, and have maintained my sobriety for over 18 years. I will simply say that if you enjoy a drink or two before boarding your flight, you are by no means an alcoholic. You can most likely stop after those 1 or 2 drinks. I cannot. That's what makes me an alcoholic. That's why I racked up an incredible tab at a certain bar in a certain airport servicing a large metropolitan area near a certain city in the American Southwest whose name may or may not rhyme with spleenix. You know it's bad when you're asked to leave an airport bar, and the best retort you can come up with is, "Oh yeah? Well, I've been kicked out of nicer places than this." Here's a couple of concluding thoughts. If you think you or someone you care about has a drinking problem, seek help. Talk to your doctor, your spiritual advisor, a trusted family member, or a friend. Jump on the interwebs and seek out a 12-step meeting. I wish I'd done this sooner. I recall saying to someone at one of these meetings how hard it was to sober up in New York City because there were so many great bars there. Yeah, they said, but there's also many great meetings there. Second concluding thought. If you have a fear of flying, or for that matter, any fear, try to identify specifically what about it frightens you. Be as precise as you can. For me, I figured out that it was the claustrophobic nature of the average plane, of being so close to so many people for a long period of time, that frightens me. I address this by having an aisle seat or a bulkhead seat when possible. I use the white noise of air travel itself or headphones to zone out. I focus on a 4x4 breathing pattern. Inhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4. Exhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4. Repeat. Always have a charged phone for podcasts and music. Have e-readers or good old books at hand. And stay hydrated. You would not believe how crucial that is to staying relaxed and calm. It's better to get up and go to the bathroom than dry yourself out. And if you're the type who gets an upset stomach, order a ginger ale. It works. That's it. May you have success in recognizing your fears and building positive habits to address them. I wish you good luck, bon voyage, fair winds, and following seas. And that is my scary little personal story for the month of October.
Nice. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
And Bryan, you and I had talked before about providing a place where some of our written stuff can find a home. And you'd said that maybe we should start posting some of that stuff. So
yeah, because our podcast is a bit of a amalgamation of current events and random nonsense and some personal anecdotes. I've started posting some things at wrongsince1970.com, which just points to a Medium page. I think over time there'll be more sort of personal things that are more personal essays or short stories. I know you have some other short stories kind of in the pipeline coming up down the road. So maybe it may make sense to start providing some of this in written form as well. But obviously, as we roll those things out, we will make those things known.
Sounds good. So everybody have a happy and spooky Halloween, and we will see you here next time, November 1st, All Souls Day, on here on Dream Idiots.
Thanks for listening, folks. Like and subscribe and share and do all those good things. And we're going to be back again real soon.
Be good to each other.